This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, February 10th. Before I get into the news, a quick heads up for an event next week. SiriusXM Media, Barometer, Signal Hill Insights, and Sounds Profitable are banding together for a live one-hour webinar titled From Insights to Action, Turning Podcast Trends into Campaign Strategy. That will take place at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, February 19th. It's next week. Registration is free and live right now. I have a link in the show notes to go register for it, but we'll talk about links in a minute. All right, for our top story, American scripted TV is consolidating around safer bets. Amper analysis data finds scripted TV commissions increased in 2025, up 3% year over year, with first-run scripted show orders up 7% as well. 2 years of growth for scripted television since the market decrease in 2022 and writers' strike-related pivots to unscripted content in 2023. Streaming Wars argues this steady growth back towards peak TV numbers pre-2022 is a vote of confidence in constraint. Buyers with a specific audience in mind, predicting performance windows, or anchoring projects around known IP are commissioning new scripted shows in North America. Which leaves original scripted concepts without IP, format familiarity, or the ability to argue scheduled value are fundamentally at a disadvantage. Something the scripted world of podcasting can relate to. While podcasting never necessarily had a glut of overspending on audio fiction, money tends to flow into for sure bets similar to scripted TV. Proven IP or new IP built around celebrity voice actors who are intended to play that role in the eventual TV adaptation. These are two popular methods for getting a big scripted production off the ground these days. Which brings us to a sentiment you've heard me say before if you're a longtime listener. Scripted audio fiction has the potential to be effectively the manga to scripted television's anime, a symbiotic relationship between two mediums where one acts as an IP engine for the other, creating a cycle of new shows for both. Next up, podcast advertising benchmarks for Q4 2025. Magellan AI is back with another quarterly benchmark looking at the end of last year. 9 of the top 10 spenders in Q4 were also top spenders in Q3, showing they kept up spend during the holiday season. Also, we have a lot of newcomers. 1,482 brands advertised on podcast for the first time in Q4. One bit of data that stands out is ad load continues to rise, going from 8.33% in Q3 to 8.82% in Q4. While Magellan AI's definition of ad load does include ads for other podcasts, so for example, a host telling people about another show on the same network, the fact remains podcast ad load continues to rise. One of podcasting's selling points has always been our ability to make ads matter and connect with audiences. But audiences' patience is not infinite, and it's not something the business of podcasting can ignore forever. And for the final top story, countries across Europe take action to ban social media for minors. According to Gizmodo's reporting, at least 15 governments in the European Union are planning social media bans for minors inspired by a December ban in Australia that kicked any kid under 16 off social media. A side effect of trying to keep kids from rewiring their brains with infinite dopamine-dispensing apps and networks is how they'll be kept off those networks. Some companies comply on a per-country basis. Some preempt EU legislation by enacting on their own, similar to Discord's intention to globally treat all accounts as teenagers until proven otherwise. Now, obviously, this doesn't directly impact podcasting as a format, right? We started as an open RSS distributed medium. That's not a concern for getting kids off social media networks. But it could have an impact on the platforms that podcasts are using to build their audiences in the first place, as different social media networks ebb and flow based on who's restricting what. As for the rest of the news, Red Seat Ventures has announced the acquisition of premium podcast feed platform Supercast, which is slated to continue operating autonomously under founder Jason Siu Hoy. Journalist and a professor Lynn D. Johnson reflects on an IAB ALM panel from last week and how the data shared in that panel, including some from Tom Webster, by the way, supports a core truth podcasting knows in its bones. Audio works. Amplitude Media Partners celebrated their second anniversary yesterday. Happy belated birthday to AMP. MarketWatch covers Spotify's stock rallying as the company announces 38 million new users. ESPN's 30 for 30 podcasting is kicking off its season 16, with the first episode being Murder at the U, a rare true crime direction for 30 for 30, as the victim at the core of it all back in 2006 was a football player with aspirations of making it to the NFL. And finally, The Deep End with Lecrae has announced Libsyn is the podcast's exclusive host and monetization partner. As usual, I go through everything fast. You can find links to everything I just talked about by clicking the one link in your show notes, which will take you to today's episode post on soundsprofitable.com. As usual, the download is written and produced by myself, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us again tomorrow.